Hi, guys. Hope you're having a great day. It's certainly feeling like fall here in New Brunswick. The temperature has dropped down to a balmy 12 degrees here in the morning. It's a little on the brisk side, which is kind of nice, especially after all of the really hot weather that we had leading up to this. But man, did it change quick. We went from plus 30 to 12 degrees, like boom, seems like overnight. But I am not going to complain because these hot flashes, I'm liking the cool weather. So we have a lot of fun stuff to cover today. We're going to be painting two pieces at the same time. Leave it to me to find a way to stress myself out. There we go. We're going to paint You Pick apples and You Pick strawberries. I think these are really fun little pieces. I love these little breadboards. They're just a fun little surface, super easy to work with, not a huge amount of space, but very functional. So they're a really nice surface to work on. I think these look really cute in those tiered trays, decorated for each season. And with the harvest season being upon us, I thought that this You Pick apples and You Pick strawberries would be a fun addition to that. So we've got those that we're handling today. We also have some really great little giveaways for you today. We have 3 of them. And enclosed in that is a brand new stencil called Hello. So there's a new stencil in there for everybody. And there are some other goodies in there, as well as a gorgeous Dynasty Stencil Pro stencil brush. So there's a beautiful one of those in there as well. And there's some wonderful little embellishments from Southern Ridge Trading. And there's even a pretty little butterfly surface, an ornament surface in there for you. So we have great giveaways for you today. And we do have a shout out today. In case you hadn't noticed the bling around my neck, look at this. It's flippin' gorgeous. It's a sterling silver artist palette, and it's filled with beautiful crystals. It's a garnet, aquamarine, a peridot, an amethyst, and a topaz. Gorgeous piece of jewelry. I've been looking for a silver artist palette for a while, and a friend of mine who is a silversmith, she does absolutely gorgeous and very unique work. Her name is Shirley Arndt. Her work is exquisite, and she doesn't make duplicates of a lot of her stuff. Most of the time it's either 1 or 2, but that's pretty much it. And she made 2 of these. Now, I couldn't resist. I had to have it. I just thought it was so beautiful. So it arrived yesterday in the Happy Mail, and stamped on the back of this palette is the statement that every canvas is a journey. It's got her signature stamp in the back. It's beautiful, handmade in sterling silver. So if you want to see some really exquisite handmade silver jewelry, you have to check out Shirley Arnott's page on Facebook. Absolutely gorgeous work, and I couldn't resist. So Shirley, I don't know if you're watching, sweetie, but if you are, I can't tell you again how much I absolutely love this piece. It's perfect. So she made 2 of these. One of them has gone to Dubai, and this one is made a very happy home here with me. So that's my shout out for today, the silversmith and lapidary Shirley Arnott. She's also an incredibly talented painter and a color pencil artist too. She's extraordinary. So if you get 5 minutes, type in the name Shirley Arnott into the Facebook search engine and go check her out. She's got beautiful work. She's in Southern Ontario. She does amazing stuff with silver. Amazing. So that's my shout out for today. And we aren't going to discuss food today because...
Why?
Because it's hot dogs tonight. That's why.
I know I won't be here for them.
And you won't be here for them. So that's why we're not discussing food.
Yay, harvest.
He is working security for the Harvest Festival here this weekend. So
Woo.
keeping him out of trouble.
Nah, I'm keeping others out of trouble.
And okay. We'll go with that. So, what happened this week? I did get Happy Mail, aside from my jewelry. I did get Happy Mail, and it's just so sweet. You guys are amazing. You guys are just amazing. So I Oh, that's Shirley's card. I opened up my mailbox and I saw this thing, absolutely beautiful. It came all the way from Oklahoma City. I love the stamp. Great big brilliant orange flower on there. This came from Janet Mills. Janet, thank you so much. It was a lovely note in here about Miss Soot, and just in general, she had some very sweet things to say. And I just wanted to let you know, Janet, that this is so appreciated. You have no idea. And as my family will attest, I keep everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. I'm horribly sentimental when it comes to things like this. So I wanted you to know how much I appreciate it. It was very, very sweet. And it came at a good time. I think it's never a bad time to send somebody a quick note or a quick message to let them know where you fit into their daily life. And this just made my day. So thank you very much, Janet. I love getting stuff like that. And I get a lovely little note from Shirley as well with my necklace. And so I was very, very pleased. It's been a really nice week. Really nice week. So
any other happy mail?
That was it this week. Oh, no, it wasn't.
Uh-oh. Ta-da.
Ta-da! I got a marbling kit. A Decor water marbling kit. I cannot wait to play with that.
Oh, hydro dipping.
Hydro dipping, yes. Or water marbling. Yeah.
Hydro dipping.
Hydro dipping. Anyway, so I got the new deck work kit. I'm anxious to try it. Haven't had a chance to. I've read everything that came through, about it. Sandy's done a lot of testing on this.
Closer so they can see what it is.
Yeah, Sandy's done a lot of testing on this. And Beth, one of our cohorts at Deckwart, she's been using this on fabric. So
it says you can't.
There's nothing that says you can't. So I'm really excited about trying this. Hydro dipping paint kit. Now, these are actually quite affordable. I was pleasantly surprised that the entire kit, everything that you need to get started with this, is available in a kit size at Michael's, at the local Michael's store.
Nice. And
they're $35 for the whole set. So it has 5 colors plus the medium, instructions, of course. It has the tray, some paper, everything that you need to do some water marbling is in this kit. So I'm really excited about trying it. I can see some fun backgrounds coming up with this. So I'm excited about this. So that is this is a brand new product from Deckwart, the Deckwart Water Marbling Hydro Dipping Paint Kit. So if you are interested in trying them, they're, as I said, I thought that price tag was quite reasonable. It comes with everything that you need. And for $35, not bad. I also got a bunch of other stuff in, but like a whole bunch of paint.
No.
I got paint. So I was happy because I was getting low on asphaltum.
What, your creator's order came in? Mm-hmm. Oh, jeez.
Well, I'm almost out of certain colors in the new colors. I've used them so much in the last couple of months that I was literally running out. I'm almost out of lush green and almost out of sprout. And same with sunset gold, almost out of that. So I had to order some paint. So I got my paint order came this week. So that made me happy. Those things make me happy.
Mm-hmm. People are wondering if you've seen Sandy's marbling class in Turkey.
Yes, I did. Actually, yesterday, I was on my way into town and my phone buzzed and Miss Sandy was calling me from Istanbul. So I had a wonderful little chat with her from Istanbul. So she was enjoying a beverage out in the sunshine at a gorgeous table and with the mosque, that big, beautiful mosque in the background.
Nice.
And so I saw the video of her doing the water marbling.
And she went to the Grand Bazaar.
So she's enjoying her time in Istanbul. I was there once, long time ago. Long time ago. but yes. So Sandy's having a great time. Which is probably why she's not with us today. Miss Sheila is with us today. I know that. Or if she isn't with us, she will be joining us. So, and I don't know, Miss Deb might be joining us a little later on. I don't know. It depends on how much coffee there is. Yeah. Oh my God. Sheila posted photographs of her finished leopard yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. That woman is so talented. Incredibly talented. Oh, I also wanted to tell you, Miss Sheila made a bazillion of these little beehive ornaments.
Oh, no.
A bazillion of them. I'm going to have a printable up this week that uses that ornament. Just giving you a heads up because I happen to know she's got a bunch of them in stock. So if you are looking for the surface for that printable, go and check out Sheila's website at tollpaintingdesigns.com because she needs to sell some beehives. And she's got really great surfaces, including these. If you're looking for these, she's got these too. These wonderful little breadboards. She makes this for me.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I love them, and I'm getting very low on them, so I have some of the skinny ones, but she's got these ones.
You have
They're
the
awesome.
chat open in front of you?
I did have. I just got too busy gabbing that I forgot to. I better turn the volume down
Yes.
before I open this up because...
Before the queen yells off with their head.
Oh, there I am. Okay, let's see what we can do with this. There we go. Okay, I've got the chat. There we are.
Yay.
Donna Pultz is in there. Kathy Williams. Robert Pearson. Hi from Tennessee. Karen Wilson. Hi, Karen. I hope you're feeling better, honey.
Oh, you got Facebook?
I got Facebook, yeah.
Okay.
I cannot get the chat on my YouTube
No.
app. No, it crashes every time. So, which is what happened to us last week. The computer just crashed. Just, blue screen of death, the whole 9 yards. And then we had a hard time getting our high-res camera to work at all. It wasn't working properly. So that was an interesting day. So, pardon me for a second.
She just had kimchi. So
I had kimchi for lunch, so everything is running. And not to mention, it's fall, and so I've got allergies acting up too. So my eyes look like two burnt holes in a blanket. So it's interesting. So we're going to be painting, you pick apples and you pick strawberries. These are really fun little breadboards. This pattern could easily be enlarged for a different surface and adapted to a different surface entirely. That's one of the nice things about working on a surface like this is it's highly versatile. You can change the design up quite, pardon me, God. The kimchi was too good.
It's doing its job.
It's doing its job, yeah. Scaring the bugs away. So if you guys are ready to get started, so am I.
Boom! You pick apples or strawberries.
Yep. I love this. I think that these are just really fun. I've done a lot of trend research in the last few weeks, and I'm seeing a lot of, the old style country designs are coming back in small quantities. They're adding them to contemporary farmhouse decor and things like that, but in small increments. And so I thought it would be fun if we incorporated a little bit of that sort of vintage country feel into a project. And it is actually very easy to achieve. So these are the two that we're going to be doing. They're just such fun. I love the color palette. It's very autumnal. This dark blue is really appealing to me for a number of reasons. One, it really complements all of this red and this yellow really nicely. But it's dark enough that I get the great contrast that I like, but it's cool enough that it doesn't look too overdone. And it lends itself well to this country feel. So that's one of the reasons I went with this dark blue. I used Prussian blue for this background, and I only put one coat on for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted this to look a little distressed and a little worn. I didn't want it to get so dark that it looked black. I wanted to retain that blue tinge. So that is what we are working with today. So I have one piece already prepped. That's the You Pick Apples one. I have that one prepped. So once we get the other board up to this point, we'll be all set. I have a single little fruit fly that is bombing around here, driving me crazy. So we're going to get started on the prep. And this part's actually really easy. So I'll set that aside. So I have on this one generous coat of Prussian blue. And I put it on the edges as well. And we're going to grab a sanding sponge. And I'm just going to give this a light sanding because it's a little on the rough side, this one. Because I didn't seal it. I didn't want to. And so it's a little on the rough side. That's okay. We're going to wipe off the dust. And we are ready to go. So this is a 1/2 inch check. This is something else that I'm seeing a great deal of when I was doing a bunch of this trend spotting. And that was the checkerboard seems to be coming back in a variety of colors. Not the rustic or uber rustic checkerboard from like the 70s and 80s. But a checkerboard nonetheless, except it would help if I took it off that page just a little. And I really like this one. So the color that I'm using for this, you can use almost anything. I just avoided using a white. The white was too bright. So I chose to use either cobblestone or what's this one? Portobello, or even a gray. A gray will work fine. Just not a white. You don't want that high contrast. And we're going to stencil with that Dynasty Stencil Pro.
Deb says, "Good morning. I'm ready to people."
Are you ready? She's never ready to people. She's ready to people. Well, that's good.
Have you come up with a design for the plaid stencil?
I have.
Uh-oh. It was very ominous.
I have, and it's involving seed packets. Another You Pick thing, but I went with a slightly different twist. So yes, we're going to be using a plaid. That's the M271 stencil. So you might notice that I'm not looking for fully opaque. I'm not looking for perfect. I'm just getting a little color on each of those squares. Neatness doesn't count. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs. Because perfection is boring. What I love about these stencil brushes is how soft that flagged end is. It's a synthetic. They're extremely durable. They'll take an awful lot of abuse. But I love the soft finish that you get with these. They give you such a nice finish. So I'm going to get a little more. I do love this checkerboard. This 1/2 inch works great. I found the 1 inch was a bit busy. I found a larger one was a bit too busy, so I went with the 1/2 inch, and the 1/4 inch was way too busy. It was just too much pattern. So this is what I went with. I'm going to turn that around. And I'm going to tape that in place. Now the idea is to line this check up so everything is straight. That way you don't have checks going in all directions. And tape it in place so that it doesn't move. I liked using the gray, in this case, that little bit of either portobello or cobblestone or driftwood. It's a warmer tone, so it works really well over top of this blue. it's not a harsh contrast. I avoided using white because of that. I didn't want it to have that harsh contrast. I wanted it to be a bit more subtle, so that's why I chose this color.
Joyce Anderson is wondering what brand stencil brush you're using.
This one is a Dynasty Stencil Pro. I absolutely love these, and that's why there's one in your giveaway today. There's actually a beautiful big 5/8 stencil brush in that giveaway today. This is a synthetic, so it's extremely durable. They hold up really well. It's a comfortable brush to use too. And you don't have to work hard with them. That's one of the things that I like about these. And because they're a synthetic, they're very easy to clean. I can take paint out of this. Even dry paint comes out of these much easier than a traditional stencil brush. And because it's a synthetic, the bristles don't dry out and break over time. So I think I'm just about there. I'm going to tip it back. No, I want a little bit more. There's a couple there that are not quite as bright as I would like. And I like the fact that none of these are the same. You know, they're a little bit distressed as it stands. So there we have a nice little checkerboard everywhere. And then we're going to do the terrifying thing. We're going to distress these even more. So out comes our sanding sponge again. And we're going to gently sand the surface. Now, gently means that I want to sand it, but I don't want to, sand it all off. I just want to distress it. Which means some of that, you can see little spots of the background color coming through. And then you're going to, with a little bit more pressure, sand the edges of your board. Just a little. And all we're doing is just exposing the raw wood or that raw MDF a little bit. Just like that.
Wow.
What's that?
I was just going through your members' videos.
Oh, yes.
There's about 18 of them.
Well.
And that is including lives from the end of the month.
Nice.
And some of the other ones.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. I knew there's one that I'm going to get rid of because it's only 3 seconds long.
Okay.
I think that's one of our oopsie days.
Is it? So I'm just taking a piece of paper towel, wiping off the dust. And you're probably thinking, ugh, that looks a little shabby right now. But I'm going to show you a trick. So you take a brush, any brush, nice big wet brush, just with water, and just brush over top of it. And it brings all of that color back to life. Just in case you thought it was getting really, really dull and a little too distressed. Look at that. So it does a couple of things. One, it takes all of that excess dust off and cleans it up a little. And then you can just dry it and you're going to have a nice uniform finish again.
What's the grit on that sandpaper or sanding sponge?
The sanding sponge I had, where is it?
Is it a 120?
It's medium fine.
Medium fine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Doesn't do the traditional 180 grit, 120 grit?
No, it's just a medium fine. And it's not a scratchy one, it's a finishing one.
Oh, okay.
That was technical, wasn't it?
Is it a scratchy one?
It was a scratchy one. No, what I mean is it's not a coarse grit.
Yeah. Medium fine.
Medium fine. There we go. So we've got the edges opened up a little bit here when we sanded it. This is going to take color again, which is the fun part of this. Because it's got to be fun. If it's not fun, what's the point?
Is there a video for the ample leaves and barnboard pattern?
Yes, there is.
I don't think it's a members one, but...
No, it's not a members video.
Yeah.
It's on there. So I'm just picking up a little bit of asphaltum, and we're going to put a sloppy float all the way around the outside edge, keeping the darkest value of the asphaltum to that sanded edge. So it's going to act like a stain. And stain all of that exposed wood. Not that there's a ton of it, but... So all the way around this edge. Neatness doesn't count for this. You just want to get it... I'm using a float, but it's not a pretty float. So that most of that dark color stays at the outside edge. And you can tell it's not a pretty float because it's just sort of slapping it on. I'm not worrying too much about, getting those perfect transitions because it doesn't matter at this stage. And you can come back in with a little more color if you so desire, like I do. I like lots of asphaltum. So we've got a soft aged look around the outside edge. And I'm going to dry this really quick. And then we're going to remember that fugly brush. My fugly brush. I love my fugly brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of asphaltum and I'm thinning it quite a bit. And we're going to go over long vertical strokes like so.
I'm curious. What are the members painting on the end of the month?
Oh, they're painting the Time to Gather with the pumpkins. The one in the middle.
Oh, with the
Yeah.
cloth and egg?
Yep.
Okay. I was wondering. I'm busy.
So there is how you age that board. Remember what I said about all of these floats around here don't have to be all that neat and tidy? So when I pulled that on, I noticed I pulled it all in one direction. So there are fine stria in it. So it gives it the look of an old, like it's been outside forever. But it's smooth and it's subtle, so. And it tones everything so you don't have that ring around the outside edge. But it takes on a really nice warm look, which is what we wanted. So from this point, we're going to trace and transfer our berries on. You're just going to center it on there. And just make sure that everything is straight. That's the only thing you need to worry about, is whether or not it's all straight. So tape that line drawing in place so it doesn't move. You don't want it to move. And then white graphite.
I have goodies.
Was that Karen?
Yeah.
Yes, you have goodies coming.
Ooh, ginger snap?
Yeah.
Aha!
That took about 3 seconds.
Ginger snap! Karen makes the best ginger snap.
She does make the best ginger snaps. They're awesome. Gotta go get my red pen.
What is this? What is this?
So my Uniball pens are almost all gone. There's only a few left. And my shipment of the new pens has come in. So, grabbed the wrong one.
Oh, there's Patrick.
There we go.
Teresa
Okay.
Casper has to go make pasta salad
Okay.
for her community picnic.
Nice.
Right on.
So my new pens have come in. They're these ones here. Don't ask me to pronounce that because I'll make a mess of it and
Let's
probably end up offending somebody, and I don't want to do that. So these are the ones that are replacing my Uniballs. They have the same Sakura ink that I use in the Uniball. They've got the same stainless steel tip. They're a 0.38, so they're super fine. They do everything that I want them to do. They do look a little bit different, but for the most part, the only real difference that I've really seen in these is the price.
Oh, yeah?
So, which was my biggest reason for changing from the Uniball, was the price of them has nearly doubled in the last year. Mainly due to shipping, them coming from Japan. It's the transportation part. These ones are made in Korea. And I've been playing with them now for a few weeks, and I really have come to like them. They have a really nice sharp point, which really appeals to me because I really like that fine line.
You're covering up the name.
Oh, yeah. Feng Taiyuan, I think. Of course, I'm using a North American source of pronunciation to use another word for in Korean. So I don't know what it says, but I'm quite pleased with the quality of them. They're lightweight. They're comfortable to work with. They've got that nice little gel thing on there. And I'm able to keep them at the same price as the Uniballs were. So,
and they're a clicky pen.
And these ones click, yep. Don't have to worry about losing the cap. So, yep.
Or the cat taking the cap.
Or the cat's taking the cap, yeah. And they they have that nice fine sharp point, which I love. I love the red one for tracing because I can see where I've been. Like I did the other day, traced an entire thing and missed half of it.
They're exactly what you think they are, Jan.
Yeah.
The small bag filled with like 6 wood pieces and are shims. They are shims.
Yeah.
They're meant for stretching out the canvas so you can get whatever tightness you want.
Yeah.
Or if the canvas becomes loose, you can tighten them.
Yep. And they fit into the little notches that you see in the inside corners of the canvas.
What brand of graphite are you using?
I have been using DecoArt white graphite for years. And I use the DecoArt graphite paper all the time.
Oh, and now they're wondering if those pens come in white.
I have not been able to get them in white. I have not been able to find a 0.38 in white. However, having said that, I did find a replacement for my white Uniball, and they will be here next week. And
smudge proof?
They are smudge proof, and they're from Arteza. So they're a very nice pen. I've been playing with mine for the last little while. And it's not here. I don't know where. I think it's over there. Anyway, I'm very pleased with it. And the ink is extremely opaque. And the pen itself runs very smoothly. So I had sent out a bunch of pens to some of the people that watch every Saturday to get their opinion. And they all came back very positive. There was a couple of things that people pointed out that perhaps, the pen that they were using didn't write as smoothly. I had one that didn't work so smoothly until I realized that I hadn't gotten all the wax off the tip. And then I made sure it was all cleaned off and it worked just fine. That's the thing about these pens. They come with a gob of wax on the tip of the pen to protect the ball during shipping. And so once I got all of the wax off, they worked just fine.
Ugh. Sorry about that.
Don't you dare get sick. Don't you dare. You're not allowed to.
Not allowed to.
No, you're not allowed to.
No, it's just a sneeze.
Yeah, I know.
I don't feel sick.
No. You bring home.
I
got a
sneezed, now I'm
freaking cold
stuffed up.
last week. Yeah. I had a cold last week. I haven't had a cold in like 3 years, but I had a cold last week.
Yep.
It lasted precisely 3 days. It was like one day coming, one day here, and one day it was gone. So 3 days. But it was like for that one full day, it was miserable. Sore throat, runny nose, itchy eyes, the whole bit. Wasn't happy about it at all.
Thank you, everybody, for blessing me.
Blessing me. So, so these pens will be up on the website probably tomorrow. We only have a few of the others remaining, so.
Hay fever? Question mark?
No, I don't think it's hay fever. Renee's never really had that issue.
I don't get sick often, but when I get sick,
yeah,
it's death.
Yeah, he's just yeah, and he does not get a man cold. That's the one thing I am so grateful. Both of the guys in my house do not get man colds
Or man flu.
They just don't. They're both too damn stubborn. If we'll put it this way, my husband went through a gallbladder attack for a week before he finally, it got so bad we had to take him to the hospital. A week. And my guys are not, they'll come in and going, I don't feel good. Well, if they tell you that they don't feel good,
you should probably take us to the hospital.
You should probably take them to the emergency room. They bleed, lose a pint of blood, and they'll resist getting stitches. They're soldiers.
I remember when Dad saw me get stitches in the back of my head.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah,
I've never seen him squirm.
Yeah. It's like, ew. Well, the worst part is that it happens to him. He doesn't bat an eyelash. It's like, yeah, whatever, walk it off.
Well, I think it was the fact that it was the doctor doing the stitches.
Yeah.
Looked like he was trying to tie his boot.
Oh.
Except it was in the back of my head.
Yeah. Oh.
I didn't feel anything because I had a local, but...
Yeah. That's okay. Your dad felt every one of them. But yeah, I'm grateful that I don't have to deal with whiny, snivelly men when they get a cold or the flu. Most of the time they're just like, whatever, I'm bigger than this. Testosterone-based life forms.
What is the name of the new pen?
I'm going to have to come up with a name. A Feng. We'll call it a Feng. I just don't know what to call it because it's like a foot-long name, so I'll think of something. But I got to tell you, they're quite nice. But I do love that they have that really fine point. For tracing a pattern on, I have never liked a stylus. For a couple of reasons. One, I couldn't tell where I'd been at all because it doesn't leave a mark on the paper. So I could never tell if I'd actually gotten through everything that I was supposed to. So I didn't like the stylus. And I always found that the line that it left was so thick. Whereas when you're using one of these, I mean, look at how fine those lines are. It's much easier to get rid of those fine lines than it is those big wide things. I don't like them. And I love the fact that with this red pen, I can see where I've been. And I know I've gotten everything complete because it's got red on it. And then the only challenge I have to get past is making sure that my graphite paper is the right side down. So all I have left is to just put in the spot for the seeds. There we go. Super easy. Super easy. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks for painting with reds. Reds are notorious for not covering well, especially when you're over top of a dark color. So now I can see that I have red everywhere. I've traced every line, except for the details, obviously. And so, look at how fine. Oh, I did miss something right there. So, Look at that. So nice fine lines, but still nice and clear, which is important. You have to be able to see. So nice fine lines. That's a great pen. And that spongy gel thing on the front there, I like that. We get these old stiff, cranky fingers. I like that very much. Nice pen. And the black one is ultra black ink. The ink is really, really dark, which I love, which is my reason for using the Uniball. But coming and finding something that's going to work just as well, that was my biggest thing. I wanted to find something that was going to work just as well, meet all of the same requirements. And these seem to be doing just that. I like the fact that I could just retract them.
So
That's
I just
always nice.
got a notification from YouTube here.
Okay.
Currently, there's the super chat. YouTube is paying for 30% of whatever you decide to donate on super chat right now.
Really?
So we get the full amount.
Uh-huh.
But you're getting 30% off. So, no.
Oh, anybody that wants to donate.
Anybody who wants to donate gets 30% off their donation. YouTube covers that 30% to the channel.
Oh, nice.
So.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But it's on the first one.
On the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So. There we go. That's pretty cool. I just saw that notification, just letting people know. So if you want to save 30% on your donation, YouTube's going to cover it for you.
Nice. Whew.
What graphite paper do you use?
I use Decorworks graphite paper. I've been using it for years. I have a whole drawer full of it.
Pass me one of the pens so I can get a name.
It's got quite the handle.
Thing de Juan?
Yep.
Okay.
But I've been very pleased with them.
Yeah, and it's still a 0.38.
Yeah, it's still that ultra fine point, which was my biggest reason for using the Uniball. The fact that it had such a great ink in it was just a bonus. But I do like that super fine point.
I'm just going to type it into YouTube. FENGDAI.
So we're using Country Red for this. I had to break out a new bottle because I've gone through, believe it or not, I went through 4 bottles of it in the last month and a half. 4 bottles of Country Red. That's how much I've used it. I love Country Red. It's like my favorite. So, a little bit of Country Red. And I need either a flat or a round. I'll go with a flat. I'm using a number 6 black gold flat shader for this, just to fill in space. Now, Country Red actually is a pretty good color. It covers fairly well. It's a fairly opaque red. But the trick when you're base coating with a red like this is to try and go in the same direction all the time. So, and I know I say this a lot, but paint in following the shape of the surface or the piece that you're painting. So if it's a strawberry and it's strawberry shaped, then try to follow the shape of the strawberry. Now, had I been thinking ahead of time, I would have left out that 50 and not removed my line drawing. But I wasn't thinking. So we're just going to have to make do with that. Now that first coat of red that you put on is important. Remember what I said about painting in the shape. You notice that all of it is following that shape of that strawberry. And it's important that you do that for a couple of reasons. One, it's very difficult to hide little goofs and heavy lines when you're working with a color like a red. So you want to follow that shape so that any of those little flaws will fall into the shape of it, and they're much easier to disguise. if you need to.
Phone.
What do you need?
Someone recently tried to log into your account.
Yes.
This was me.
So there we go. I have put that initial shape in by following the shape of the berry. And I'm doing the same thing in here. So none of this cross-hatching and just filling in spaces. I try to do it so that it constantly follows the shape of the berry. And it does make your life a whole lot simpler a little further along when you're putting in following coats.
And of course, Sue Potts with $30.
Sue, you're too generous, my dear.
For the puppers and kitties.
For the puppers and kitties, thank you so much. We do appreciate it.
I really got to fix the notifications on this thing. It's a pain in the butt. I want it to be more explosive.
Explosive?
Yeah, so people see that, like, look at this person. She's awesome.
Oh, so Sue has made a donation. That means that YouTube is going to cover 30% of that donation for her.
Yeah, they should have.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to think of, that I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's $30 Canadian. I don't know what that's US.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. So I've got a second coat of that red on already. I'm going to dry this real quick.
Boop. I put it in the comments there. Name of the pen.
So this red takes a little bit to base coat. I'm not worrying too much about this side because it's all going to be shaded anyway. So again, I am following the shape of the strawberry. So the strokes follow that shape. It does make a difference when you are base coating.
It's a pretty good pen.
I'm very impressed, actually.
It looks like it comes
Quite pleased.
apart relatively easy, so it looks like you can just change out the ink cartridge.
Yeah, I haven't found any, though.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that that's what it was intended, but
That would be awesome if it did that.
it would be,
So you
as long as you can get them easily.
yeah.
That's my thing. It's fascinating how many things are not so easy to get these days.
I'll let you know about the YouTube 30% offer. Well, it should have. Let you know right at the beginning. Yeah. So it says 30% off your first super chat. The channel will earn the full amount. This one-time offer is personalized and time limited.
Okay.
That's all it says. Okay. And you can uncheck it. So if you want to save it for later.
So there is our strawberry. I've got 3 light coats of country red on there. I'm going to give it a chance to dry really well. I don't really worry about getting it completely opaque because we have so many other things that are going to happen to this strawberry that having it utterly perfect isn't going to be a big deal. So I'm going to show you a nifty little trick. Now I'm going to get my...
They're wondering why no base coat.
Well, you could put something underneath it, but it's not necessary with country red.
No, it's opaque enough.
It's opaque enough. Yeah. And I kind of wanted the red to look a little subdued, so I didn't want to brighten it this time around. Usually I put a white or something underneath it, but I wanted it a little subdued in this case. Mm-hmm. So being affected by the blue underneath is okay.
Could I send all my base coating to you, Tracy? You do it in 1 to 2 coats. That makes me 4 to 5. I'll pay postage.
Most of the time with a base coat, if you've got something underneath it, don't be afraid to put on paint. I find a lot of people base coat with too little paint and they spread it out too thin. Don't be afraid to use some paint. So before I start base coating all of these leaves and whatnot, I'm going to shade this strawberry because there's a lot of little things we have to get around, and this is just going to make life a little simpler. I'm using Payne's Gray to shade this strawberry.
We got a lot of people from everywhere today. We got Arizona, London, Ontario. Everybody from everywhere.
Everybody from everywhere. So Payne's Gray is one of those colors. It was my color of the day yesterday. Payne's Gray. It's just, it works so well with so many things. I'm not sure you could call it a gray, although it's called gray, but I don't think you could necessarily. It's more of a blue. But oddly enough, depending on what you're using it with, it'll take on purple tones or gray tones, or it's a very versatile color. So I'm going to use a little bit of Payne's Gray and I'm going to shade up underneath those leaves. And in here, behind that little floret there.
Northern California.
Worst places to be. Northern California is beautiful.
Ohio.
So is Ohio, by the way. I've been to Columbus numerous times.
Marathon, New York.
Don't think I've ever been there. Although I've been to New York many, many times. So I'm just using a little bit of that Payne's Gray to shade. Just like so. I'm going to dry this really quick. I'm going to show you something fun. Remember all of those little seedlets that we have in there? We need a place to put them. And so I'm going to use that little bit of Payne's Gray, and we're going to put just a little divot like this. It's a little C-shaped stroke.
I thought we were doing apples.
And we were. We're doing apples and strawberries.
Okay. Because I titled it,
Apples.
You pick apple, and you're painting a strawberry.
And I'm painting a strawberry. Yes, well, we're doing a little both. So it's just a little C-stroke like this. It just creates a little divot in our strawberry. Don't putz with it. Don't really worry too much about placement. It doesn't matter at this stage of the game. We're just going to put a little C-stroke in.
Yeah, she's not light-handed.
What do you mean? No, I'm not.
I think Tracy has a really light hand when applying paint.
No, I don't. I'll tell you, when you look at one of my finished pieces, there's lots of paint on there. I have always been one to look at my palette. This is not a person who
is light-handed
with paint. No. I tend to use a lot of paint. I do tend to thin it quite a bit, though. I will say that. But no, I am not light-handed by any stretch of the imagination. I'm even more heavy-handed when it comes to pencils. That's God love him. Mark Menendez told me one time he did a quick critique of one of my colored pencil pieces, and the first thing he said to me was that I'm a little heavy-handed. No kidding. Yes, I am. I'm well aware. I am heavy-handed.
We got people from Brazil.
Hey, hola. Bom dia.
Ah, there you go. You get your Portuguese out.
Well,
It's either Spanish or Portuguese.
That's the extent of both for me. Buenos dias. Yep.
What color would you put over baby pink to create a shadow?
Over baby pink,
Yeah.
berry cobbler.
Oh, there you go.
Well, actually, no. Baby pink is very light. Dragon fruit. Dragon fruit's a great color to shade baby pink with. Berry cobbler, I like really dark colors.
Yes.
So I shade even light colors with really dark colors. So berry cobbler for me is a go-to when it comes to pinks because it is such a rich color and it shades beautifully. So, however, again, I'm heavy-handed, so I tend to thin colors quite a bit. So we've got some shading in. I want to do a little bit on the top up here because I didn't quite get enough in there. I'm going to put a little, whoa, too much water. Oopsie, there we go. Now, I tend to use layers and layers and layers of color to get where I want to be. But no, I am not light-handed at all. There we go. Look at that.
You got a bom dia?
A bom dia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. Bom dia. My trip to Brazil is when I think, not Brazil, Bolivia.
La Paz.
La Paz. I went to La Paz, Bolivia, and I had the best time. Bar none, one of the most exciting trips I had ever been on in my life. And I had wonderful hosts and I had a wonderful guide. And it was so fun to discover how many languages are spoken in South America. It is mind-boggling.
Surprisingly, there's some German.
German, Japanese. That one blew me away.
Wait, Japanese?
Japanese. There's actually quite a bit of Japanese.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Japanese.
Well, I guess on the western coast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Japanese. There's some German. There's some Dutch. Portuguese, obviously. Spanish, obviously. And then there's Ayama,
Yeah.
which is more than the native languages. And that varies depending on which part of South America you're in. So some are related to the Ayama, are related to the Mayans, and there's other natives that are related to the Aztecs. You know, they're
Wow.
incredible, very diverse, very, very interesting. And the history is just staggering.
Are you using water or Joe Sonia's?
I'm using both. I'm cleaning up my brushes with water, and I'm floating and doing all my shading and base coating with the Joe Sonia medium. I use it constantly with my ugly little jar. Isn't that a mess? It's terrible.
It worked.
But it works. Yeah. Instead of having a bottle out and having it dry up on my palette, I just keep a little... This is a little ginger jar, like a little pickle jar. I fill it up and I work from that.
Is that what the horseradish was in?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't throw out jars. I have a thing about jars.
They're useful.
I will fill it up. This holds about 3 ounces or so. I'll fill it up. And then once it starts to look a little grungy, I'll tell you something. The pigment all settles to the bottom. So it stays this color for weeks, this milky white color. But then as the liquid goes down and the pigment goes up, it starts to look a little gray, and that's about the time that I change it. But yeah, that's my...
Looks like milk.
Does look like milk. That's my little jar. So I've got some shading in. So now I'm going to base coat those leaves. And we're going to use, we're going to use Lush Green, which is that new green color. If you don't have it, antique green will work just fine. So I'm going to base coat my leaves with this Lush Green. This is my favorite green. I'm a big fan of antique green, as most of you know. But this lush green is just, oh my, so pretty. It's a beautiful green. And again, like the berry, when I'm base coating, I follow the shape of the leaf. I try to do it in as few strokes as I possibly can so that you don't end up with, lines going every which way. It's much easier to hide little bobbles and flaws when all of the lines are going in the same direction. And it makes your leaves look a bit more realistic too. And this will likely take a second coat. But not too bad. So we've got leaves in. I'm going to grab my rigger to do the stems. There we are. So a little bit of that Joe Sonia's goes a long way. It lets the paint run off that brush nice and smooth. And then we can dry this real quick. And we'll give them one more quick coat. And we've got a couple of little leaves down here on this strawberry blossom that need to be base coated. A little bit of green. There we go. I love this lush green. Like the antique green. It's very close to antique green, but a little bit more opaque. The coverage is a little bit better. Still has that nice earthy tone to it that I like, that, which is the reason I like that antique green. It has that, it's a more earthy green that works for me. Great base color, and it base coats very nicely. You will find when you're using that Joe Sonia's with your paint that your base coating is much simpler because the paint moves smoother. It just moves better. So look at that. Our strawberry is taking shape very quickly. And I cannot tell you how much time this thing saves me. I have, I think 5 pieces on the go right now. 5. What kind of lunatic has 5 pieces on the go at one time? Anyway, if it wasn't for this thing, I'd be waiting for hours because I will have 2 or 3 things on my table at one time. And then, if things don't move along as quickly as I'd like, out comes this thing. I love this thing. So if you don't have one, consider getting one. They're worth every penny for the amount of time they're going to save you. Not bad. I'm liking it. So I'm going to use a little bit of plantation pine to shade with. I do like my plantation pine. I like that nice transparent dark green. It is ideal for this type. I'm going to use a little Joe Sonia's. And these leaves are super easy to paint. So we're going to start with the ones underneath. That's these 2 little ones here. And we're going to put a float at the top of the leaf, like so, just to separate it from the one above it. Again, don't putz with it. Don't worry about it. Just get a nice little dark shadow in there. And then to give all of my leaves that nice curve, I always put a little C-stroke at the top of the leaf where it joins the stem, like so. And this shadow establishes a direction of the leaf. And while I'm at it, I'm going to shade these two little guys here. Not too much of painting leaves. So I'm going to dry this. That little shadow at the end near the stem is what implies the curvature of the leaf. And it helps you establish it very nicely. So I want this leaf here at the front is going to curve down and away. So following the shape of that strawberry. See how it curves this way? So we're going to mimic that by putting in the shadow down the center vein like so, to mimic that curve. And because that has set the tone for this, I'm going to do the same thing on this small one. And the same thing on this one here. Just like that. And then we've got this leaf down here. It's going to mimic this leaf, so that curve is going to go that way.
You shouldn't give Dad access to your recipes.
Why?
Yeah, he just made chocolate haystacks.
Oh, good. Keeps him happy. Not running the roads or to gambling hell. We're good.
I mean, it's cornflakes, chocolate, and wax.
He's happy.
Yeah.
It's all good. We made ploy yesterday.
Yay, ploy.
Ploy is it's
Buckwheat pancake.
more like a crepe than a pancake.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're made with buckwheat flour. It's a very traditional dish amongst Acadians and Brayons here in New Brunswick and in some parts of Maine. It comes from a French heritage. My husband grew up eating them, like most of us grew up eating biscuits or cornbread. He grew up eating ploy. So buckwheat flour has not been all that easy to find.
No.
Flour in general has not been easy to get lately. And when you do find it, it's pretty expensive. But I finally found some buckwheat flour. So we made ploy for dinner last night. So we had ploy and creton and egg sausage, all of that. So he was happy.
My mère used to make them with shredded coconut. It was shredded coconut and cornflakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always yummy.
I make haystacks, but they don't. They're shredded coconut and oatmeal.
Yeah.
It's a very Anglophone thing. Ouch. So we have leaves. Look at that. Super simple.
Jesus.
So
Sheila has 2 10-kilogram bags of flour for winter.
2. I have 4. I have 4. I'm sorry. I have 2. Well, it's not 10 kilograms. Yeah, I've got 4 20-pound bags of flour. Put away.
Jeez.
Well, that's just it. Flour has been, I need it. I just went through one.
Haystacks? Question mark. Cookie?
Oh, it's a
Candy?
It's a non-baked cookie candy combination. My husband makes them there with cornflakes. They're done with cornflakes and melted chocolate and a little bit of parawax and vanilla. And essentially it just makes a very crispy chocolate treat. Haystacks for my family was shredded coconut, oatmeal, and a chocolate fudge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they just dropped off the spoon onto parchment. So.
And you let them cure.
And then you just let them cure.
And then you nom.
Then you nom. And then Mom walks in and wonders where the heck they went. What happened? So I'm going to highlight these leaves. I'm just using a little bit of that new color called Sprout. And I'm just giving it a nice little float on the tip and the point, like so. Down the center vein, out to the tip. Come up onto the point just a little bit. Both sides. Don't worry if you end up hiding or burying some of that shading, because you're going to do it again. So don't worry about it. It sounds like he's rearranging the furniture.
No, he's cleaning up after himself. He used the big bowl.
He used the what?
The big bowl.
Oh, the big bowl. Oh, good grief.
Call them frogs?
Frogs is another name for them, yeah.
Yeah.
So that little bit of...
That's the PEI version.
That's the eyeliner. Frogs. So that little bit of Sprout, this is one of those new colors, almost a chartreuse. Almost. It's a bit more yellow than a chartreuse.
It's really showing up yellow on...
But it shows up really, really nice. It's a wonderful highlight color for lush green and antique green. It's just fabulous. And if you don't have it, margarita green, olive green, matcha green, any one of those will do just fine. Just choose your favorite yellow green. That will do the trick. Sour apple will do the trick too. And then remember the stem. We've got to put a little bit. Our light source on this one is over here. It's on the right-hand side. Say about this point right here. So the light impact point is going to be right here on our strawberry. So we need to put a little highlight on our stem on that upper right side, like so. Et voila. So we have our highlights in place. And now that that's done, I'm going to rinse out my brush, and we're going to come back in and reestablish our shading. A little thinner. You don't have to make them quite so dark, but we're going to reestablish it. It's just going to clean up little spots that perhaps are get a little rough looking or a little overworked, or if they've lost some definition. That sap green, or pardon me, plantation pine, is very transparent, so you can easily control this color. And it's going to give you some nice transitions too. So there is our little shading, and deepen those center veins, and look at that. So we've got lovely, lovely leaves. That's a great color. That sprout green is just lovely and soft. And I'm going to come down here to those little leaflets outside that blossom. I'm just going to put little highlight at the tip. It's such a tiny leaf that any amount of real detail is just going to get lost in there. So we'll just put a little highlight at the tip of the leaf. We've got our shadows in, so we're good there. So now we're going to pick up a little bit of that wonderful yellow. I've used that Golden Sunset, I think it's called, or Sunset Gold. I keep getting it mixed up. Sunset Gold. This is a great yellow. Surprisingly more opaque than I expected it to be, given that it's a yellow, but a really great color. So we're going to take the tip of a rigger or a liner, whatever you have, and remember those little divots? We're going to put a little teardrop shape, just a small one, right in that divot. Just press down and pull. It's just a little teardrop shape. Nothing too fancy. Don't overthink it. Just stroke it in. Doesn't have to be perfect. But that little bit of, that little float that we did beforehand creates the shadow, that little dip that the seed sits in. Look at that. We have seeds. Seeds. And we do need to highlight those seeds too. So I'm going to dry this real quick. This part's super easy. They're just little divots. So while those are drying, I have a spot that I neglected. And it's these little leaves here on that little vine. I'm going to just stroke that in. So we've got those two little leaves off to the side. These are not difficult to paint, and they are a lot of fun to paint. So I'm going to break out some warm white because we're going to need it for this little flower here. And we're also going to need it for a few other little things in here. So, but we're going to start. I'm going to use my rigger or a liner. You can use either one. We're just going to put a little highlight on each of those seeds. It's just a tiny little stroke of white, just to make them pop up a bit. They are shiny after all, so we just want them to, a little bit of highlight. Nothing major, don't overthink it. Just tiny little highlight. Little stroke. I'm going to dry this because knowing me, I will put my hand in that wet paint. So I'm going to come down here to this little blossom here, and I'm using a rigger. And if I do this right, I should be able to get this done in one coat. So there we go. Oh, look at that. That worked far better than I expected. So I'm base coating the inside portion of these petals with warm white, using a number 2 rigger, and I'm just pulling it in. Look at that. My goodness, I think I might actually get this all done in one coat. Yep, I think I will. And again, I'm painting following the shape of the petal so that all of my lines follow in. There we are. This is not a hyper-realistic flower by anyone's imagining, but I do want it to have a nice shape and somewhat realistic. So I got all my petals in, did it in one coat with a little bit of warm white. I like this type of thing with the warm white. You can see every stroke in it. It creates the texture. It shows a little of the color from underneath. That's okay. It's not solid white. Also okay. Because they're flowers. I find if they are fully opaque, they tend to look very heavy and very stuck there. And I like things to be a little lighter. So one coat is plenty. So I'm going to dry this really quick. And then we're going to use, we're going to mix a pink for this. We're going to use a little bit of our country red. And we're going to take some warm white on the brush and just a titch, and I do mean just a titch of that red, because we're going to make a pink, a sort of rustic pink. And we're going to shade up underneath there. This is a really pretty color. The reason that I went to brush mixing a pink for this was to bring that country red into the flower so that it reflects the flower. It's an easy way to carry a color around just by making a slightly different value of it. And look how pretty that is. It's very soft and very delicate, and it just works. And I really like that little bit of pink right at the tip of the petal. It's very pretty. Et voila. So pretty. I'm going to put a little bit of that same pink down the center vein, just like you would with the leaf. And I'm going to do the same thing, just a center line on each of those petals. I want this one to go that way. There we go. There we are. So I have a center vein in each of those flowers, just done with a little bit of that pink. And then I'm going to take my rigger and I'm going to mix a little more of that same pink. And I'm going to put it on with rigor. Not quite enough white. So there's this little flip over in the petals. Right there. So now we have a nice defined shape. It's fun and it's pretty. And I'm going to give a little flip to this petal here with a little comma stroke of this color. I'm going to do the same thing here. I like that little teardrop flip at the edge of the petal. It just helps define things a little. And look at that. We have a fleur. So we need to put in a center on this one. I'm going to use a little bit of sunset gold in the center. And I think I'm going to use the deer foot. I've got a little deer foot here. I'm going to use that. Oh, goodness. Maybe not. This one has got a boo-boo. There. Okay. So I'm just going to use my deer foot and stipple in a simple center. Just a little circle with that sunset gold. Like so. Look at that. Easy peasy. So simple. Now I got to dig out some orange flame. I do love my orange flame. It's my favorite orange to shade with. And I'm going to just pick up a little bit on my deer foot. And I want my shadow on the lower side. Light impact is in the upper right, so shadow is going to be on the lower left. And so I'm just going to use that dirty deer foot to put in that little shading with a little bit of that orange. I'm going to have to pump up my yellow a bit, I think, because it's not looking quite as bright as I would like. So I need to get just a little overpowered by that. There we go. By all that orange. That's better. Okay, so now I have a nice two-tone center on our flower, and I'm going to dry that. So pretty. Uber simple. simplicity always works in your favor. So I just make sure all my paint is dry. I'm going to use a rigger for this. We're going to put just a series of little dip dots on this center. Keep them tiny. Don't overdo them. It's mainly for texture anyway. I just find they're fun. And I'm going to use a little bit of black. Just a few little dots of it. I don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to use my rigger. And if you notice, it's on, I kind of had a method to my madness. I put 2 black dots right here on each petal. Like so. It's a bit mechanical, but that's okay. And then I'm going to use a little bit of asphaltum to add the shading dots to the orange. And again, I'm keeping the dots very small, just like that. So now we have shading in. And we are done with that for the time being. We're going to come back and we're going to do a whole bunch of little details right at the end. But I want to make sure that this is all really dry. And we're going to highlight our strawberry. And this part's really fun because the strawberry is just getting a nice little dry brush on it. And this is super easy. So I'm going to do it about 1 little third. We're going to put it all on the upper right side. And we're going to use Sunset Gold and Warm White to do that. And I got to find I want my good dry brush. There we go. I've got a point blender for this. You can use any dry brush you have. Any brush that you're comfortable with using. I'm using a point blender. This is an IPC point blender. This one here, it is a medium point. I like these. This is my favorite. I have Mezzalunas. I have dome blenders, but I always seem to come back to this one. And for this one, we're going to use a light touch on that upper left and just sort of scrub in a highlight like so. Neatness does not count for this. Don't overthink it. So just work around the seeds. You don't want to necessarily go over them. So I've got a little Sunset Gold on there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a little bit of Warm White. And I'm going to go right over the same spot that I've already been. So it's going to make all of that yellow a little bit brighter. And you'll notice that I am going in between the seeds. I am not going over them. So this sort of accentuates that sort of indentation a little bit. And then your final highlight is just Warm White. And again, don't overthink it. Oops. I overthunk it. There we go. Okay. And there is our highlight on our strawberry. So we need to finish off these two little leaves here. I'm going to grab some plantation pine. They're tiny little leaves, these ones. So don't overthink these. Just a little shadow at the base. And then we're going to do us some lettering. These little guys are just so fun to do. There is one more of these little boards, actually 2 more of these little boards coming up. Someone had asked me if I would do a cherry. So I've done a cherry and I've done some sunflowers. Sunflower seeds. I thought it was fun. And I'm going to highlight the tip of these leaves with a little bit of our sprout green. I'll dry those. Easy peasy. The boards are a 5x8. They're not really big, but they are a comfortable size, so you're not working in a microscopic thing. But yeah, these boards are a 5x8. And we do have some in stock. If you're looking for I have the thinner ones in stock. If you're looking for the thicker ones, which is these 1/4-inch ones, Sheila Landry has those on her website. She's the one that made them for me. There we go. Got a highlight on those little leaves.
What size are these boards?
5x8.
I was busy reading the chat. I wasn't listening to you.
I know. I just finished saying that.
Yeah, I know. Now
That's okay.
I wasn't listening.
I know.
Are you going to do pumpkin seeds?
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, wouldn't that be fun to do like a seed packet, pumpkin seeds? Oh, I love that idea. Yes, I'm all about pumpkins. So we're going to tackle all this lettering now. And this is so fun because this is such a user-friendly. Number 2 rigger, warm white. You do not have to be perfect with this, which was one of the reasons I wanted to do something like this was quite simply because everything is always so meticulous. You know, we're always painting lettering with this eye for having things absolutely crisp. And in this particular case, doing some of these vintage signs, if the lettering is not perfectly smooth, it's not perfect in any way, that's okay, because we're going to distress it anyway. So we're going to make them look a little bit rustic, which is, it's fine. So if you're painting one of these and your lettering isn't perfect, don't worry about it. Because quite honestly, it doesn't matter.
Is Linda Safranco here today?
I think so.
Maybe on Facebook page, perhaps. I know she wasn't feeling well, and I haven't seen her name pop up in the chat.
I didn't realize that she hadn't been feeling well. Oh, I hope she's okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, I haven't seen her in the...
As I know she was intending to paint them because she had ordered the pattern. So I've got warm white. I like this lettering because it's not perfect. The style of the lettering lends itself to this because it's styled to look imperfect. So I think that really helps, that it has that sort of old-timey hand-painted sign look to it to start with. And I chose the font up top for that purpose too, because I wanted it to have that rustic appearance. Oh, I do need to change sizes on my rigger. I need to go to something smaller. I'm going to go to a 0.
Are you and Deb going to do OKC?
No. I was kind of hoping to be there, but it's proving to be quite the trick to get airfare these days.
Maybe she's busy painting.
That could be. She could just be quietly painting.
Do you carry the IPC brushes you
I
just used?
do not. Sandy McTeer has them on her website. You can also get them at thebrushguys.com. And I do have a coupon code for the Brush Guys so that you can get an extra discount. And it's a simple one. It's Tracy M. And Stuart at the Brush Guys has been awesome. He makes sure that orders get out really quick. He has been great. Oh, Lord. Okay, so this is something that we've all done at least once, and that's put your finger in your own wet paint. And I just did, so I've got paint everywhere. So, fix. Oh. So I'm using a zero rigger for this lettering up top. And again, I'm not too worried about whether or not this lettering is perfect. As long as it's straight and level, those are the things that you need to worry about the most. Straight and level. And then just paint it in. Fill it in. If it's a little rough, that's okay. Because we're going to distress this a little bit. We're going to wear this lettering down a little bit. And it's those little details, those tiny things. I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the shot so you can see what I'm doing. Not so easy, but...
Tracy, wouldn't it be handier to paint the lettering from left to right since you're right-handed?
It would be. But I habitually always start at the... I don't know why. I have no explanation.
Just a thought. And Linda Safranco is here.
Good. She was just quiet.
She's been here since the beginning.
Yeah, but she's quiet. When we notice that we're not hearing or seeing you, something's out of the ordinary. And isn't it nice to know that we worry about you? We have really
Jessica, hi Linda, just got worried, didn't see you. Could be busy painting.
Well, yeah. These are so fun. These little breadboards are a great surface. I can't remember where I found the first one. I had 3 of them in my stash, and they were so cute. And one day it just came to me that I needed to use these. So I talked to my pal Sheila, and she made me some more because I had 3 and I shared one. So she made me some more. And they're just wonderful little surface and work really well.
She is painting.
That's why she's quiet. You can't type and paint at the same time. Super fun. I like that this font leaves you a lot of room for mucking about. This particular font style works very nicely. And I just realized I did not. There we go. Some days that elevator doesn't go to the top floor. So warm white, get the Joe Sonia in that brush. Use in this case, I'm using a zero rigger. If you don't have a rigger, you can do this with a liner because this lettering is fairly small and you're just essentially painting it in. But having a little of that Joe Sonia's in the paint moves off the brush really smooth. So it makes doing this a whole lot easier, that you can lay color in quite easily. And I love the fact that this lettering is not perfect. I like the idea that these are very vintagey. That contemporary farmhouse decor theme that has been so popular for the last few years. It's quite sparse usually, with just little punches of color here and there. And what I'm seeing is not a ton of this. There's not oodles of this rustic vintage design everywhere, but just little punches of it. You know, they'll have a white cabinet with lots of black accents and a few little items that are rusty, and then one or two pieces that have all this color in them. And it works really, really well. And I like that because we're decorative painters, we can customize anything we want. You know, we can take our imagination. If I like apples, I can paint apples on almost anything. One of my favorite things in my kitchen is my oil can, my olive oil can. Mm-hmm. I have an old-fashioned metal oil can, the type where you would push the bottom. They used to use it for oiling, you know, equipment and things like that. And I just loved it. I found it at a convention one year. It had been reclaimed and sanded and sandblasted and primed. And I brought it home and I painted olives on it, because I thought it was an olive oil can. It's one of my favorite little pieces. And it's such a simple little thing, but it's so cute. So there we are. I have lettering. So I'm going to come down here and paint the word pint. I almost forgot about it. Pint. Because strawberries are sold in pints. And quarts. But usually pints.
Would you consider doing Wintry Welcome Owl?
Of course, I'd love to. That's a cute pattern. And not one I've ever taught. So yes, we could do that. If you would like me to do that, I will absolutely do that.
Add it to the list.
I will add it to the list. The list gets longer. Of course, I'm the one that's usually adding things to that list, so it gets long. And the word pint has an I in it, so it needs a dot over the I. So we are ready to start putting in some final details on this for that piece. So that means we're going to set that one aside and we're going to paint the apples. So now we're on apples. Got the strawberry. We just have a finishing details to do on this. So we're going to come over here to apples. I like this one. I like this one a lot. I'm fond of this one. I'm fond of this font. This one just, I don't know. It just said apples to me. It was just a great font for this. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with our apple. And again, we're using Payne's Gray as our shading color. I'm going to use a bit bigger brush for this. And a little bit of Payne's Gray on that brush. And we're going to start by putting in our shadows on the far left, sorry. I forgot my left from my right. There we go. I do love Payne's Gray for this. It's a great color. Now, our apple here has a leaf that lays down over top of the apple. And we have to make sure that there's a shadow under it. And there's a shadow here at the neck, the opening of that apple, right at the top where the stem joins. And then we've got a shadow that comes down like this. And I'm bringing it down and I'm stopping just shy of the tip of the leaf here. And then see how that leaf curves? I'm going to do an exaggerated version of that same curve and come down. So essentially, I am mimicking the shape of that leaf on our apple. Just like that. So we have a dropped shadow of that leaf. So I'm going to dry all of this, and then we're going to deepen the shadows.
Oh, there's Sandy on Facebook. Says, hey, girlfriend, popped in to say hello and see what you're painting today.
We are painting apples and strawberries.
Apples and strawberries.
And she needs to go and have a Turkish coffee for me.
Such a good coffee.
Or a tea.
A proper chai?
A proper chai, yes. I think she actually did have a proper chai. But yes, very yummy. So I'm just pulling a little of that Payne's Gray up the other side of our apple. So the shadow on the left can be up to a full third of the width. And then we want just a narrower shadow on the other side. Doesn't have to be quite as strong. The nice part about this is it doesn't have to be, we're not talking about our typical perfect shadows because they're not necessary in this particular case. I'm going to just go around and deepen those shadows one more time so that I get nice. There we go. Look at that. And then I'm going to come up this side, deepen that shadow, but it's going to be considerably narrower on that side. So now we have this open space right here on our apple. And that open space, we need to put our highlights. That's what's going to build up all of that light in there. Now, I will say this. If you find that your shadow is too dark, try mixing a little of your country red with your Payne's Gray and shade with that. It'll make it a little easier for you to control. It's going to make a deep purpley red, and it'll give you a nice shading. I jump in and use Payne's Gray as it is, but if you struggle with it, if you find that it's too dark and you can't control it, just throw a little bit of the country red into it. It'll be fine. Now, that highlight that's going in there is, again, dry brushes. We're going to start with a little bit of orange flame this time. I'm going to switch to a different dry brush just to show you that you can. So I'm using, this is a Dynasty Mezzaluna. It's an extra large. I love these. These are a blend, synthetic and natural hair. And we're going to take a little bit of that orange flame, swirl it on your palette, get it into that brush. And we're going to start our highlight up top here, just like this. And I'm going to pull it in a sort of a half circle and an arch, and I'm going to pull all the way down to the bottom. But I'm putting the bulk of that color right there in what we call, just like on your cheeks, call it the apple of your cheek, that high point. Just going to do that with that orange flame.
When painting the drop shadows, which side or edges do we add the shadow to?
The one that's furthest away from the light. And in this case, the light's coming from up here. So this one's going to be directly under the leaf. I've got a single fruit fly driving around here. It's driving me nuts. So I'm using that dry brush of that orange flame right there. And again, remember, this is where my light impact point is, right here. So that's where the bulk of my color, that orange, is going. And then I pull it sort of in a half circle, semicircle, to help shape that orange apple. Wow. Orange is the color, not the fruit.
Can you bring your palette into frame so we can see how you're
this travesty?
see how you're loading your
how
brush?
I'm loading the dry brush. Yes. Okay. So I use the belly of the brush just like that. I pick up a little bit, pounce it on my palette, and then I swirl it until the brush is not quite wet, if you know what I mean. So I've got color on there, but it's very little. There we go. Look at that. I love this color, that orange flame on the belly of our Now, warm white, I like to use a little bit of warm white. So I'm going to pick up a little of that on that dirty brush. But I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that yellow because the white, there we go. I just wanted to make this next color a little bit more opaque. So I've got a touch of warm white in the dirty brush. And then I picked up just a little bit of yellow. So again, I'm starting at that light impact point. That's where the bulk of my color is going, right there. Because that's where our light is striking our surface. And I'm going to pick up a bit more of that yellow because I love the yellow. That sunset gold. I wanted a bit more. There we go. So now we've got this nice bright impact point. Just wasn't getting there for me. Nice bright impact point. That will do it nicely right there. Now we're cooking with gas now.
That's a good idea, Linda.
What's that?
Spinning the wheel.
Yes. What a great idea.
Let me get the wheel ready. Hopefully the computer doesn't crash like it did last week.
Please don't say things like that. So that final light impact that goes on there is a little bit of warm white. Now, I like to use the dirty brush. I just pick up more white, and that gives you that nice bright spot on our apple. Look at that. Now, the reason I always pull it sort of that half circle type thing is it helps create the look that there's a curve in that apple. So we've got our apple come to shape quite nicely. So we're going to start shading our leaves. Same as we did with the strawberries. Center vein, a little bit of plantation pine. Nice little shadow on the stems. Remember the stems, light's from this side, so the shadow is always going to be on the other side.
Okay. I've got the wheel ready.
Cool. Then go for it.
All right. We got 151 names.
Nice.
I'm gonna... Boom. There we go. I'm going to hit shuffle a few times. Hey! We got an ad for Lego.
An ad for Lego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like they're hiring stunt riders. Okay.
Sign you up.
I want to see motorcycles. Okay. 3, 2, 1. First spin. What do we got? Oh, I don't have my Sharpie.
Well, you took my pen.
No, I gave it back.
Oh, so. Okay, no pen.
Pull it out of the skull.
Melinda Dixon.
Dixon. Melinda.
Excellent.
Melinda Dixon. What were the giveaways?
We have a Dynasty Stencil Pro stencil brushes.
Yes.
We have a Hello stencil, which is a new stencil.
Nice.
And we have some wonderful chipboard embellishments from Southern Ridge Trading. And there is a butterfly ornament in each one.
Cool. Got 2 more.
So yeah, we have nice giveaways.
Ooh. There's an app called Foodies.
Foodies?
Foodies.
Really?
Spinning again.
This is his favorite part of every Saturday, I think.
Yes. Giving away stuff.
Giving away stuff.
Ann M. Burling.
Ann Burling. Nice. Ladies, as usual, I think I might have your shipping information, but just to be on the safe side, go to the website, click on the little speech bubble in the lower left-hand corner of the homepage, and send us a quick message with your shipping information so that we can get your goodies out to you.
Ann M. Burling. Ann M. Burling. Oh, it's almost time for me to go get ready for work. Almost. One more?
We'll be done. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do all 3. Clickety. Maybe Miss Thacker will win one finally.
Judy.
Poor Judy. Susan Haley.
Susan.
Not
Excellent.
this week, Miss Thacker. I'm sorry. Who do we got? Susan Haley, right. Susan Haley.
So I'm calling dibs.
You're what? You can't call dibs on Saturdays. It's
I
only for
can't,
the
it's my
members.
stuff. I can dibs whatever I want.
Fair enough.
Okay. So we're going to, I've got my shading color on these leaves. So we're going to tackle the highlights.
Well, I gotta switch cameras here.
Yeah, you better get on it. There we go. So the leaves on this, again, we're talking about that dropped shadow in there. Our light source is coming from this side. So some of these places are only going to get a little touch of a highlight because they're still being struck by that light. So some of our highlights are right here on these little flip overs. A little bit on that center vein. And then, of course, a little on this outside edge of this leaf here. You notice they're not as bright. And these leaves here, again, they're just catching residual light. So they're there, but they're not as brilliant as if they were facing in that direction. So we have highlight there. But this leaf here is actually facing the light source. So we can be a bit more aggressive with our highlights here. So these ones can be a little brighter. A little brighter coming up that center vein. There we go. And we need to have a highlight on that stem because it is also facing into right into that light. So we've got our highlights in place.
What was your highlight color again?
Sprout.
Sprout.
Yep.
Sprout.
Sprout is my favorite green lately. I've been using it quite a bit. So a few little spots here where I wanted to punch up the highlights. There we go. And I'm going to come back with a little bit of that plantation pine. And I want to, in particular, these little leaves here, because they're facing away from the light source, I wanted those shadows to be a little bit darker in there. And by punching them up where we do have highlights, they instantly become a little brighter. There we go.
Boom.
So we're going to leave the apple for a moment. We're going to come up to the word apples. And I'm going to get into some orange flame. We're going to use that for a shading color at the base of these letters, right here. So we're going to put a nice tight little float of orange flame at the base of each letter, and we're going to come about halfway up the letter. Now what I love about this is that it makes these letters stand out.
Debbie, the surfaces, I believe, are available at Sheila's website.
We have some on our website, and they're
Oh, you
also
do?
available on Sheila's website.
Yeah.
Yep. We still have some left.
Didn't realize they were available on your website.
Yep. We have some on mine, and they're also available from Sheila. So whichever place you get them from, we're happy with. So I've used that orange flame at the base of the letter. It stands out really nicely. And if you find that it's not quite bright enough, just go back in with a second float. Put a little bit on this. I really love this color on this, what do you call this color? Sunset gold. I keep wanting to call it golden sunset for some unknown reason.
I don't know.
I got nothing. So there is.
Wonder who's singing tonight.
Oh, at the festival?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm curious to... Because we had B.B. King here.
Get out of town, really?
Yeah.
Last year, wasn't it?
So we do get some
We got
big
some
names.
big names, yeah.
But I wonder who the highlight for this year is.
Don't know.
Actually, Google.
It's a wonderful thing. So at the top of this word apples, I'm just going to put a light float of warm white. And not a dark one. I don't need it to be heavy. I just want a little bit up there. But you're working all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All night. So tonight. Oh, get out of town! Blue Rodeo.
Get out, really?
Sold out.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So tonight is Blue Rodeo.
Oh,
Starting at 7:30.
I should have paid more attention.
Yeah. So we have Tara Lightfoot and Blue Rodeo.
Really?
Tomorrow is the sheepdog. Oh, nope. Sheepdogs are going on at 9:30 till 11:30. What's on tomorrow? Amanda Shears and the Record Company.
Cool.
Matt Mays and the Record Company. And the Harvest Afterburner is Trouble No More.
Cool. So I just noticed that I completely missed something when I was tracing on my design. The word pound. So lib. I'm going to freehand it in here. For better or for worse.
Wow, I didn't $80 tickets sold.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I work in security.
Yeah.
I get to enjoy it. Mind you, where I'm going to be posted, I have a strange feeling I'm not going to be involved in the Blue Rodeo concert at all, which is kind of nice. That means smaller crowd.
Yeah. So we have finally hit that point where we're ready for all of those little details. So I've got my shading in there. I'm going to grab a little bit of Bahama Blue because Bahama Blue is my shading color for some of the white lettering. This palette looks like a dog's breakfast. I've got stuff everywhere.
I don't even think my dog would eat that.
No, it's a mess. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that Bahama Blue at the base of my letter of these numbers here on the white. Neatness doesn't really count. We just want to get a little blush of color down there. And I'm going to do the same thing to the 50. It's just a little bit of color. Nothing fancy. Don't putz with it. These are super cute when they're finished. I just love these. I'm thinking these are going in my kitchen. I do like that little bit of not Payne's gray, but Bahama Blue. And I'm going to do the same thing to the U-pick. I'm going to get a little of that blue up there. Just a little. I love that these letters are not perfect. It just makes them more interesting, I think.
It's funny because they're a cheese board.
Yeah. Breadboard.
Not really. Not that small. This is a small loaf of bread.
Yep. Now, on the strawberries, I used a little bit of Payne's gray, not Payne's gray. What's the color of them? Prussian blue.
Oh.
Which is the base color. Because I was using my noodle that day.
You were using your noodle.
I was using my noodle that day. You'll see why. So if I take a little bit of that Prussian blue, thin it out as if to float. I'm going to float all the way along the bottoms of the letters. Like so. And I can float right over top of everything because Prussian blue is the background color. Makes life so much simpler. So I have these painted white because I'm going to come back in with that sunset gold and one coat only. I'm going to paint this lettering, the U-pick, with the sunset gold.
Can you mix Prussian blue and soft black to make Payne's gray?
I have no idea.
I don't think so.
Well, soft black has a red. Just a second. We'll try it. I'll finish base coating this and we'll try it. I have a feeling it might get a little...
I don't think it'll make Payne's gray.
That might make something close, but I do have to get rid of this palette because it's a dog's breakfast. It's a mess. Like, terrible.
Let's bring the palette into view here.
Yeah, let's do that. So, I have Prussian blue and soft black. Now, soft black... Ooh.
Bravo.
Bravo. And a little bit of, I got black paint everywhere now. There we go.
I don't think it's good. I think it's going to be too dark.
Well, it all depends. So I'm going to pull a little, there's our Prussian blue right there. I'm going to work with a small touch of soft black. So far I'm 4-1.
What happens when you thin it out?
Just a second. I'm going to, this is Payne's Gray. You can tell it's a new bottle. So here is our brush mix.
Of course, you got it right.
And my ratio is now 5-1. So I've got 5 parts soft black to 1 part Prussian blue. So
wow.
It's close. The Prussian blue still has more red in it.
Yeah.
So
it's very close, though. Even, like, on camera.
yeah, it's a bit more. The Prussian. This is still more blue than purple. But let's take a little more soft black.
6-1.
So I'm thinking it's probably closer to 7-1.
Yeah. I think it needs to be lighter.
Yeah, 6-1. Combined with a little more Prussian. It's close, but it's still very blue-gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas there's a little more violet tone to that Payne's Gray. But it is close. So there's your Payne's Gray right here. And it's a bit more of a purple tone. This one was like the 7-1. A little too black. I pulled in a little bit more Prussian blue, just a touch. But yeah. This is your 5-1 right there. Or, yeah, 6-1, sorry. I think the soft black doesn't quite give it enough red. That's all. Not quite, but it is, I have to say, very close.
It could be a good substitute.
You know, in a pinch, sure.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're using it for. But yes, not bad. If you need it, you can do it.
Close enough for government work?
Exactly. You know, it's about liberal government work.
What do we got left with the...
So I'm going to grab a little bit of Orange Flame. We're just going to put a little shading color at the bottom of this U-pick. Just a little. And the only reason I did this, I wanted strawberries to stand out on that. But I wanted to carry the color palette from one piece to the other. But I didn't want them to be a perfect match. So that's the reason that I chose the yellow for the U-pick and the strawberries one, because it just seemed to work really well for that. And then, of course, whatever you do over here, you should do over here. So we've got all of our color tones work together. I chose the Prussian blue for the strawberries just because I think it worked better with the background. And it showed up better on that smaller lettering. So we are ready to do a whole bunch of little details. So I'm going to
zoom in as much as I can.
pull the colors that we need to finish these off, because you're going to love this. This is so fun. This is my favorite part.
I'm going to zoom in as much as I can.
Uh-huh.
As long as she doesn't move them, we're good.
I'm going to try not to. So we need, on our palette, Sprout, Asphaltum. If I can find my Asphaltum. There it is. I already have some soft black.
There we go.
And we're going to need some warm white. Warm white. There we go. And I'm going to need a nice liner. I'm going to grab my 10-aught extra long detail liner, my Micron. And I'm going to start with a little bit of warm white, and I'm going to brush mix a little bit of that sprout with it. I just want that bright yellow green, but I want it a little more opaque. And this will work well for our purposes. So we're going to come over to our strawberries first. So all of the greenery, we're going to tackle the greenery. I like doing this to my lettering or to my leaves. I like these little lines around things. These little details. I need a lot more glaze. There we go. I like the little details around things. I like these squiggly little lines so that they're not perfectly solid leaves. It softens them. It just makes them visually a little softer, not so hard edged. And it makes them stand out just a little bit, gives them a little extra detail. And as I said, it just softens them a little bit so they don't look quite so hard edged. And I like to put a nice little vine in. And I do the same thing to all of these little leaves. This little squiggly line just softens things, makes them feel and look a little more delicate. And I love that you don't need to be absolutely perfect with them. They work. And don't forget this little one around here. Do the same thing to all of those leaves. It just makes everything feel nice and light. And if you find that your center veins on your leaves aren't perhaps as bright as you want, give them a nice little stroke with that liner brush. There we go. So there is our little leaf details on our strawberry. And we're going to use that same mixture on the apples as well. I do like it on the apples. This is going to look so pretty. I like those little details. You can outline things quite nicely. The stems. Don't be afraid to pop that into that center vein. Give the outside edge of those leaves that little, see, it softens them quite nicely. And it defines these leaves nicely too. Super easy. It just, I don't know, it makes these leaves just that much nicer. Easy peasy. Look how fun that is. So we've got all of our leaves detailed rather nicely. I like the little curlicues at the ends of the leaves. They can be as defined as you want or not. That's entirely up to you. I like these little threads and little punches of light. That's how you have to think of them. They're more like punches of light. So fun. And then we're going to take that little bit of sanding sponge. And this always freaks people out because the piece is already painted. Everything looks just the way you wanted it. I'm just going to make sure everything is dry. I want to put a little emphasis on these white letters. I want to distress those just a little. I find them a little too perfect. So I'm just going to gently, I'm not sanding like hard. I'm just going to gently wear them just a little. And I'm focusing that sanding sponge just on the lettering. That's all. I just want to wear them away a little so they don't look quite so perfect. And remember what we did last time when we did this? We took that wet brush. Remember the wet brush thing? So that you get that, how foggy that looks. Look, just take that brush and do this. Go over it. So now we have distressed lettering. It looks a little worn. You can see the texture of the wood right through it. Looks a little worn, but it's not. We haven't destroyed everything. So I'm going to do the same thing to this right here. And I'll take that wet brush. Look at that. Perfect. Just what I wanted. Look how pretty that is. So we have our little signs. We haven't damaged any of those little details that we put in. All it did was distress that lettering just a little, gave it a little bit of wear and tear. And it all looks just fine. So, I can't just not do it. I have to use my pens. I'm going to come down to our little flower down here because it needs a little attention to detail. Remember all of those little black dots? Well, we're going to connect them to the flower. Super simple. Comme ça. And we're going to just put some sketchy lines on our flower. Because I like sketchy lines. I do like these pens, I have to say. I like that they're nice and fine, that I can put these little sketchy bits in quite easily. I can add little details to things easily with these. So there's our little flower. Added a few little details. And now we're going to do the edges of this. I'm going to get my bigger rigger and a little bit of cobblestone or portobello, whatever you used for your stenciling. And I'm going to load up either a round or a rigger. And we're going to do like that chippy paint thing all along the edge. Just by, dragging push-pull so that it creates sort of a broken edge along our piece. I like this chipped paint appearance. Easy peasy. This thing still isn't dry. Still got water everywhere. There we go. I did a whole bunch of updates on the website the other day. So we put up a whole new section on the website called $5 patterns. So those are going to change on a regular basis. So you can always check there to see if we've got, if there's a pattern you're looking for, whatnot. So there are mainly older designs that are going to be in there. And they're going to change from on a regular basis as we, add things to it and update the rest of the patterns. So we put that in there. And while I was at it, I put, we've got a whole bunch of new stuff coming in. We've got tons of stamps coming in, and we've got new Southern Ridge trading surfaces coming in, and we've got new stencils coming in. So I needed to clear out a little bit of space because we are kind of at a premium for space. And so we put all the Southern Ridge trading surfaces, all of the chipboard and all of their stencils and whatnot are on sale. Prices are already marked, but you can also use your coupon code with it. So it's not only is it the price that's marked, but then take your discount off at the same time. So there's some really good deals on there. So we have that. And of course, the pattern for next week's class is already up. It's on there. We're doing sunflower seeds. And now somebody's giving me an idea for pumpkin seeds.
I think you got another idea here from TJ Smith.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
What's that?
I think we're going to need a free hay rides sign.
Oh, what a great idea. Oh, Lord. You're killing me. But that's a great idea. I love that. I love the fall. Fall's my favorite season. Christmas is my favorite holiday, but fall is my favorite season. I love the fall. I love everything about it. The cooler weather. I get to wear sweaters. I get to wear my boots.
Bugs.
No bugs. Yeah, I'm happy about the no bugs thing. The spiders don't die fast enough for me, but, it is what it is. But
here's what I found.
I accidentally woke up Siri.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we're almost there. Gives me ample time to let the other stuff dry.
Do you have a home sweet home sign?
I don't, but I could. I was doodling with something the other day with, I forget what they're called. We were kids. We called them black-eyed Susans or brown-eyed Susans. It's kind of like a bright yellow daisy with a dark chunk. Anyway, I was playing with an idea with those because I love those. And I'm a big fan of daisies. I think everybody knows that by now. I got daisies everywhere.
Fall road trip with your bestie?
Yeah, It'll be so much fun. Hobby Lobby tour.
The Hobby Lobby tour.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jessica. What do you keep your stamps in?
My stamps?
Yeah.
I use a file folder system. Most of my Tim Holtz stamps are all on cards, and then the cards are inside. They're each in their own section, depending on what type of stamp they are. My other loose stamps, I keep in bins and keep them in their sleeves. And then the ones that I use the most often are in a basket right next to me all the time because I use them all the time.
As you get older, you become allergic to things.
Well, right now I'm allergic to air.
I'm allergic to penicillin and people. Specific types of people.
I'm allergic to penicillin, tetracycline, and perfume. Some perfumes. And some people. Okay. So I'm going to use the white gel pen. This is the white gel pen that I'm replacing the Uniball with. This one is an Arteza 1.0. And this one works real well. I'm really happy with these ones. And they are very, very opaque. So I'm going to put a highlight along the edge of that broken paint with that white gel pen. Just comme ça. Super easy. You can do this with paint too if you want to play with a liner that long. I just find the pen was just a really easy way to do this. And it works really quick. And I do love how opaque this one is. And these ones will be in next week.
My husband never had allergies until he turned 50.
I never had a lot of things till I turned 50.
Not suggesting that you're that old.
No. No, as we age, we develop all sorts of weird sensitivities to things.
Tracy, you're like me, but I'm also allergic to formaldehyde. That's a weird one.
Yeah.
How do you find out you're allergic to something they embalm?
Don't laugh. It used to be used in a lot of women's cosmetics.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
I guess so, yeah. It does tighten up skin, doesn't it? Huh.
It used to be used in a lot of things. I'm allergic to lanolin.
Really? Lanolin?
Yep.
Wow.
I'm allergic to wool.
I think everybody's allergic to wool.
No, most people find it itchy.
Stuff's
I get
itchy.
blisters.
Oh. That could be the type of wool.
Yeah, but it's actually because I'm allergic to lanolin, because that's where lanolin comes from.
Oh.
It's an extract. But, yeah. But I never used to I didn't know I was allergic to perfumes. Never had that problem until I was well into my 50s. And that was only, 4 years ago I found out I was allergic to it. And I had a massive asthma attack in a restaurant. That wasn't pretty. Considering I'd never had an asthma attack in my life either. So yeah, this opaque white pen from Arteza works beautifully. And I will tell you this. It doesn't smear quite as easily. But you have to let this dry really well. It is, you can reactivate it with water. That's why I tell people to spray everything with matte spray before you varnish. I tend to use a variety of different things in a lot of my designs, so I found over the years it was just safer to seal everything with a matte spray before I varnished it. That way I never run into any problems. So it's kind of become my process that I spray everything with matte spray before I varnish, just to make sure that everything is sealed in there really good.
Arteza?
It's called Arteza.
Arteza.
Yeah. It's a brand that is popping up more and more. I've been trying a number of their products, and I'm quite pleased with them. I'm particularly pleased with this one, this opaque white pen, because it really is very opaque, nice bright white, and it runs nice and smooth on painted surface. Really, really nice. No stopping, no starting, no dragging type thing. I'm very impressed with it. So it's doing everything I want it to do. If I could get this pen in a permanent acrylic-based ink or an oil-based ink, I would take it. But then we're looking at a much higher price tag. And it's a problem that's easily solved with a light coat of matte spray. So to me, not a problem. And I love that it's such a bright white. Look at that.
Do you carry that pen?
I will. They'll be here next week. So yeah, awesome, awesome pen. This is the Uniball. And just so you understand that this one, if at the current price that they're charging for these, this one will be $9. This one will stay at $5. So which was my biggest reason for changing. I'm very happy with the quality of the Uniball, but the pricing has gone way up. So I wanted to look for a more affordable, but still end up with a decent quality pen. And this one I've been very impressed with. Very, very impressed. So look at that. We're almost there. We're almost finished.
What? I thought you were finished.
No, we've got a couple of things to do. One of them is I want to clean up a couple of things. There we go. I had a couple of graphite lines there I wasn't happy with. I will do more of that. So we've got one more thing to do to this, and that is to add some spatter, because it's rustic country. You can't have that without some spatter. So I'm going to start mine with a little bit of soft black. You can use black if you want. Doesn't matter. So a little bit of soft black. Just a light spatter. Fly specking. Light spatter all over everything. Da, 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 da. Just keep it light. Don't overdo. And then we're going to do the same thing with a little bit of asphaltum. Because we can. And I like asphaltum. So out comes the asphaltum. Again, don't go hog wild just a little bit here and there. And then we'll rinse out the brush, and we're going to finish that with warm white. I like me some warm white. So thin that out, warm white on the brush. And this is just going to soften everything. I do like to finish this with a little bit of warm white. It's a nice fine spatter. But it just gives everything a nice soft aged appearance that works so well. There we go. Ta-da! Now I need a paper towel to get the paint off my fingers. And I'm going to grab my opaque pen one more time, and I'm going to put my scribblature in the corner. My little initials. And those are done.
Yay!
Super fun, super easy. I love these. I just think these are such a cute addition to a kitchen. I have some really, really nice little baker's twine I'm going to use to tie around the neck of these. And they'll probably lean up on a shelf in my kitchen, or maybe hang them on the...
Baker's twine or butcher's twine?
Baker's twine. Baker's twine is red and white, or red and blue, or it's... It's a crafter's thing.
Okay.
Yep. I have like a ribbon box full of twine and whatnot. So there it is. Those are our You Pick apples and You Pick strawberries.
Boom! What?
What? Oh, did you already switch me?
Yeah.
I was sitting here waiting for him to hit the button.
I hit the button.
Okay, I'm just sitting there staring at you. Okay. These are really easy, and they're a lot of fun to do. And, I mean, don't you think they'd make a great little gift? If you've got somebody who loves a country kitchen, or somebody who loves the country style at all, these would make a great little gift. Very pretty. If you really wanted to, I wanted to tell you something about this. If you really wanted to put a good quality varnish on top of this, or you could even use a resin over top of them and then give them as a gift in a box of favorite cheeses or chocolates or cold cuts or something like that, where someone could use that for serving it. It would make a great little gift.
Tiny charcuterie board.
It would be, but wouldn't it look cute in a basket full of goodies? I think they'd look awesome. It'd be a fun way to treat a friend to something. So You Pick apples and You Pick strawberries. Hope you guys enjoyed doing these. I love doing these. These were just so much fun. So much fun, in fact, that I designed 2 more plus a stand-up board. Because, I have nothing else to do. So I've done a few more of these because I really love this surface. And then yesterday I was sitting here and I was thinking, it's such a fun surface. It's certainly not an expensive one, but it is a fun surface and it's versatile. I had 101 things went through my mind the other day, which is a problem because that makes me go to Pinterest. And then when I'm on Pinterest, I'm in big trouble. So I spent, 9.5 hours on Pinterest, and God knows what ideas I've come up with because I was making notes.
Deb.
What's she up to now?
They would look great in my kitchen. My birthday's coming up, just saying.
I know your birthday's coming up.
I'm your friend.
No guilt. No pressure.
Yeah. Oh, Linda says I beat you to it, Deb. Not fair, Deb pulling the friend card.
No, I think I have a home already for these. So.
Uh-oh.
I do have a fair number of friends,
Yeah. Miss Boston says, "Do you sleep?"
Not very well, and not for long. As this room, we had the Village Yard sale last week, and I literally had a huge box full of finished pieces from classes, from workshops, from trade shows and whatnot that I I got rid of in a yard sale. And this lovely lady came along and she was just having so much fun going through them that she finally just gave up and bought the whole box. So it was pretty funny. But I kind of convinced myself that the best thing to do would be just, paint them and then give them away. So I have family and friends that are going to be getting stuff they probably never asked for. But oh well. So I have to start getting ready for the holidays, because that is going to be here before we know it. And us painters, we love to paint stuff for the holidays. So I've also got a bazillion and one things, ideas rattling around up there that need to be put onto a surface because the holidays are coming. So I'm trying to think up some fun projects that would make great gifts. So brace yourselves. That's all I'm saying. So we've got, you pick apples and you pick strawberries. That is for today. We are doing sunflower seeds next Saturday.
You pick?
No, it's not a you pick. It's called sunflower seeds. It's an older design of mine. And it's on a really funky surface. It's got gears on it. It looks like it's been outside rusting for years. So we're going to focus on the rust finish. I'm going to show you some fun ways to do a rust finish next weekend. If you really like the country look, the rustic look, or maybe you just want touches of it, we're going to show you how to do that. I've got some fun techniques for doing that. And we're going to paint a sunflower and some pretty lettering, and we're going to do it on a really funky surface. Now, the surface comes from Southern Ridge Trading. I have some coming, so I will have those here soon. They should be here probably Tuesday. Monday's a holiday, but they should be here Tuesday. And then I also included a new line drawing in that pattern so that you can download that if you want to put it on an alternative surface. So if you don't want the small compact one, I've put a line drawing in there so that the image can be used on a bigger surface. So the bigger surface being one of those tombstone, the 6x10 tombstone. So that a little, perhaps a little less expensive and a little bit bigger. So if you're not comfortable doing some of the smaller detail stuff, that's the ideal way to go. Then you don't have to worry about it. So you have some choices when it comes to surface. The other thing is that design will actually fit on almost anything. So if you've got a favorite surface kicking around or something hidden in your stash, don't be afraid to try and do it on that. It might take a little adjusting as far as size, but you can do it. It's not a big deal. So sunflower seeds pattern is on the website. If you go to the home page, just scroll down on the whole page and then click on the orange button. It'll take you right to it. But you'll also get a chance to see the picture. So we're going to be doing a rust metal finish next weekend and then some pretty sunflowers for the fall on a sunflower seeds label. So it'll be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. I love painting sunflowers. So that's a good one. And then membership group coming up the end of the month. We are painting Time to Gather, which is our fall piece for our membership group. So that pattern is in the paid membership download section on my website. So you can just click on that, go in and download your pattern for that piece. And we are starting on the 26th. It's a Monday this time around, not the Tuesday, because I am teaching on the Tuesday night. So we are going at regular time, 7 p.m. on Monday, the 26th of September. That is your time to harvest. Your new pattern for the month of October will be ready for download on October 1st. You have a new coupon code coming up on October 1st as well. And on Monday, you will have a new challenge. Ha ha. And we've got some fun stuff coming up for the first Saturday in October. We're going to be doing Morning Glories. And it's a fun mixed media piece. It's done on a 6x6 or an 8x8. It can be either size. The pattern will have that size. It will be posted next week. So that is it for this week. I hope you enjoyed doing this. I certainly did. And I hope to see you here next Saturday when we paint some more fun stuff and talk about a whole bunch of stuff and maybe food that's not hot dogs.
It's not hot dog.
I am making lasagna this week.
Hopefully a better butter chicken.
A better butter chicken. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I kind of hooped that last one. It was not
I
a
don't
good
think
one.
that was you, though.
I don't know.
It was watery and it's tasty.
It was tasty, but it wasn't great. So,
I like a thicker butter chicken.
yeah, that's exactly it. I don't know. I don't know what what went wrong. Too many W's in that one.
Too many W's.
Why
Why does W start with a D?
I don't know. Why does S start with an E? There you go. Pause for thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why does O have an H in it?
Yeah, exactly. Far too many. Far too many letters. All right, guys, that is it for us this Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us today, as you do every Saturday. We do appreciate it. Go and check out the YouTube channel. There's going to be some changes coming up there. We'll talk about that more a little later on. All for the good.
It's under review right now.
It's under review right now. So we've got some new stuff coming up on the YouTube channel. A quick reminder, had a couple of people have asked about how they know how to join, but they're not sure how to manage their account or to cancel if they need to. So I'll give you a quick reminder. Go to your YouTube channel. When you log in, up on the top menu, you'll see the word memberships. Click there and you scroll down to the bottom. There will be 3 little dots. Click on the 3 little dots, and the option to opt out of the membership group or to make changes to your payment or to your account is all in there. So if you ever have any questions, you know where to find us. Just go to the little speech bubble on the website, click on that, and we try to get back to you within 24 hours. Sometimes there's way too many messages, so it takes us a bit, but we do try to get it done in 24 hours. So, all right. That is it for us. Have a great weekend, and we will see you again soon. And in the meantime, we'll love you, and please stay safe.